What's really hood? Hold on. Bow. Oh, wait, chesticles. Oh, no. Yes, look at my shoulders and all their warmth. Wait, is this hand? Ah! What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Jinx Did Nothing Wrong, and I am stripping, obviously. But I wanted to do this video because, one, I was going to do it, and then, of course, Papa Grappler did it before I did. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is because I'm kind of curious of what this guy is going to say about the game, and if I agree with it or I don't. Now, one thing is that whenever you criticize something that people love, they normally kind of like... they get a little bit mad, right? They usually say like they disagree. I'm curious, and I also might look at it, the comment section, to see if people agree with it. I'm assuming the majority of press or whatever is going to be negative, but and the only reason why is because it's always easier to point out when something's going on a downward slope, right? I wonder if he'll point out the concerns that I also have, and because I have like obviously concerns that they're going too much of the mobile game route. It's going to start to feel like a mobile game, and when it feels like a mobile game, it's kind of a bad thing. You don't want the game to feel like tedious and like not that much good content, that you're not really getting stuff, too repetitiveness, stuff like that. That's kind of like what I'm assuming that they should talk about, right? And if they don't, it might talk more financial. If they talk more financial, then I'm going to be like, financial is like kind of something that, you know, not for me as a consumer. I obviously don't care as much about. I more care about whether or not the game is like fun. Does it feel good? Finances that they have to kind of worry about, you know, and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm very curious of how they'll actually depict it and things like that. So forgive me for not having a shirt, but I'm not going to whip off a shirt just to talk to you guys, you know. Yeah, be surprised that I'm actually on the screen. So let's watch this video. Is it a dead game? And that's another thing that something that I've been learning myself is that to say that the game is quote unquote dead, right? Or it's failed. What happened to failed card game? It's kind of a rough thing because failed would mean that it would be like out of service currently, and it's not. So I think already you're putting it in a negative context. You're kind of saying that the game is failing. I will say that there's things that I don't like about it, but I don't think the game is failed. I think that they need to restructure things, but you know, failed will be once they say there's no purpose of us investing any time or money into the game. It has failed. It is not lucrative anymore. We're cutting down the servers. So until that moment, I feel like you still got a shot. You know, you can always do a crazy turnaround. A lot of people love that, you know, those games where, not games like card games, but like the basketball game, the football game, when they didn't give up and they still proceed forward. Or is this guy so right that I'm just going to shut my channel down at the end? I'm just kidding. That's probably not going to happen. But let's look at it together as a family. Family!
League of Legends is a MOBA loved around the world.
Yes.
Riot Games has given the game incredible dev support, art direction.
Pause plugin on. Oh, look at that pause. After Arcade, my pause game has been phenomenal. It has. You gotta give me credit.
Characters. So how about a spin-off? A card game with your favorite champions, cheap to get into, and with lore to support leagues Runeterra.
Extremely cheap. That is the skinniest I've ever seen Garen, by the way.
It happened, and it's called Legends of Runeterra.
Yes, sir.
It technically did everything right, but still failed. This is how Legends of Runeterra became Riot Games' biggest failure.
Talk to me.
So before Hearthstone even came out, I knew that Riot Games was making a card game. The code name for the game was Bacon. My name is Travis Gaffney.
Was
I have
Bacon?
been covering esports and Riot Games.
That's
for
so
the
funny.
past, I guess 13 years now.
That's interesting. So we got a guy that's been covering it. That's probably how he found out. Either someone just told him and he had to keep it on the hush hush, or you know, that's actually pretty interesting.
And I am an avid card game player. I've played many TCGs over the years, mostly digital. But what happened was that Riot Games, as they were growing, as League was requiring more resources, and as they just were trying to figure out how to release another game, and I think chasing this obsession with, well, whatever game we need to come out with next also needs to be, you know, genre defining, the same way that League of Legends was.
And I could see that too. As far as like with Riot, the thing with Riot is that they had one amazing product, right? League of Legends, and like they have to like expand it outwards. Like they have to do it, but people are going to expect the same quality. Like one thing that a mobile game has, or at least an advantage that it has, like actually, let's use what am I trying to say? Like the Hoyoverse, right? If anything that they do, like if Hoyoverse comes out with a card game or anything like that, most people are gonna think it's gonna be amazing. And if it falls short, I feel like people are gonna really feel upset. But at least it's not gonna affect the core. Like if Runeterra or TFT or anything like those would have bombed, like no one's gonna like stop playing League of Legends or something like that. Like you just try to get those niches. Like even the fighting game, when the fighting game comes out, it's not like they're gonna like, if it fails or does bad, it doesn't reflect badly on League of Legends. So, like, I could see how they might want to put a lot of stuff towards it, but I could also see why they might not like go too crazy at the same time.
I think it really slowed down the development on this game, and it took them, I don't know, I mean, I heard about it in 2013 or 2012 maybe even, when this released. In 2020, I guess it had been probably 8 or so years of development that at least I was aware of.
Damn.
During that time, Hearthstone released.
Some have speculated that Riot wanted to wait out Hearthstone's momentum and learn from Blizzard's entry into TCGs.
That makes
It
sense.
seems like they waited too long. By the time that they eventually released the game, it seemed like people were either tired of the genre or already too invested into a card game to switch.
I would say one thing. I don't necessarily agree with that. What I would say is that they definitely adapted it too, right? Because Hearthstone was like kind of like the magic killer, right? Like it was like, hey, you don't really need to gain mana per turn. You'll get energy automatically, so you'll always be able to do plays depending on your hand or whatever like that. So you don't have to put hand or lands in your deck. At least this is how I interpret it, right? So when it came out, Hearthstone was amazing. I played Hearthstone. I remember trying to get into the beta. It was nuts, but I don't know if I would have say that like it took too long to come out. I feel like Runeterra had a pretty good start from what I remember.
If you've put hundreds of dollars and hours learning the meta and building your collection in Hearthstone, Shadowverse, or MTG Arena,
Shadowverse I played.
there's incentive to swap over to a brand new game.
And I think by the time Legends of Runeterra came out, a lot of people, including folks like myself, were already kind of burnt out on this type of experience. It's similar to the World of Warcraft situation, where it's very difficult for other MMOs to succeed in the space because WoW just has such a huge head start that anything that comes out later, you're kind of like, well, why would I play this over WoW? Or
I don't know, cause I've switched over again. Now, to be fair, I've played other MOBAs, right? I said I play League of Legends. I can still play League of Legends right now. But when I play another MOBA, I'm like, eh. But there was another one that I found that I love called Paragon, and that was really, really fun. And so I don't necessarily like super like disagree like as far as like, oh, I don't want to learn another one. I think it depends on like what do they add into that game that makes it different outside of the fact that it's in the same genre. Like give people an incentive or a reason to even ditch the other game. Sometimes I feel like they don't compete enough, and that goes back to what he was saying before. I feel like games don't compete enough to actually make you want to switch games. Like they bring out a product that's similar, and then if you like the League of Legends tagline on it, then it's fine. But do they give you enough to actually want to switch over to that game and essentially abandon the other one? Because it's just time. It's a time thing.
Or I've already played enough WoW. I don't really feel like I want to play another MMO.
Yeah.
That being said, Riot seemed to be up for the challenge and was prepared to invest heavily into the game, even launching a high-production cinematic produced by the French studio Unit Image, the same team behind League of Legends, The Call, and the Baldur's Gate 3 intro. The trailer looked like a series of oil paintings, and while it featured no gameplay, it set the tone for what Legends of Runeterra was going to be, a serious card game with a ton of support backing it. Legends of Runeterra was, and still is, a lore lover's dream. The game includes all 10 major regions in the League of Legends world, and each of these regions include all the recognizable champions from the MOBA. More interestingly though, these would also include a whole bunch of new characters never before seen that you get to play with.
I honestly think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I honestly think that right now, if they were relaunch Runeterra, but title it Arcane and then focus it completely around Arcane, and then like the branching stuff from it, like actually like a relaunch, right? I actually think that would work out. Like they have a lot of lore here that's based on the old League stuff. Rebrand the whole thing so you have all the famous characters like Maddie and all this other stuff, and you could even give them, and this is gonna be probably crazy, but you could even give them some of the old stuff, like turn Maddie into Ezreal or something like that. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. And turn Mel into like one of the like Vigar or something like that. You know, just turn them into characters that are already in the game. Basically, you're rebranding the game and then make it through Arcane. So and then just all the actual lore that's presented, you do it like that, and you have stuff based on it. I think that would be pretty smart. Instead of having like Azir and you guys know I love my Cereman boys, but like, what does that have to do with what they're currently? It's like it's just so much other stuff based on League. But if you had the based on Arcane, I feel like it would probably do a little bit better.
This was a huge deal for fans of League lore who wanted to dig into the world of the game first.
Yeah.
The abilities of champions old and new would reflect their MOBA counterparts. So even if you had a cursory knowledge of League, you could still appreciate the consistency between games. All of this was presented through incredibly smooth animations, beautiful expandable art for every card, and attractive cosmetics as in-game purchases. Speaking of...
Yeah, but no one cared about cosmetics that much.
Optional. The game had an innate way for you to receive the exact types of cards you wanted just by playing the game.
Yep.
On release, you could pick a faction like the Shadow Isles, and then passively unlock those types of cards when you play any game.
Yep.
Additionally, many things rewarded wild cards.
I don't even remember doing this anymore. It's been years.
Given it was the same rarity as the wild card. Rewards always felt plentiful, and never drip-fed, and there was always a clear, relatively easy path to make your next deck. This system was objectively incredibly generous. Mark Merrill, CFO and co-founder of Riot, talked about it during a State of the Game update earlier in 2024.
Yep, this is the beginning of the year before the changes.
Opportunity that really excited us as players was the fact that, you know, in a lot of CCGs, one of the things we all love to do was build decks. And so we wanted to have a business model that was incredibly generous to players, that enabled people to have a lot of cards to then get into that fun experimentation and not feel like I've got to go spend hundreds of dollars in order to go get the cards, even build the decks and figure out, you know, try it. Yeah.
I even pause it right there, but like what happened is that they were too generous, which is crazy to say, that everyone had everything, there was nothing to look forward to, and then that's why they basically they've been going on the complete opposite route of just going with the quote unquote money grubbing aspect of it, right? They went to we giving out too much to let's withhold certain things. That's why they don't do level up animation. Like they're trying to test to see like what is profitable, how can we make money, and probably will still relaunch the game just to be honest with you. But like they want to see what people are resonate with the most, whether they'll spend money for it or not. So
incredibly generous business model
Yep.
for players first in a way that no other mass market digital card games were doing at the time. Instead of needing to spend hundreds of dollars when a new set comes out, just continuing to play the game more would earn those cards as a reward for playing. Sounds like
Yep.
a pretty sweet deal, right? Players get the cards they want so they can get decks.
Snewy! Oh, I'm blocking
No
him.
more opening card packs, letting
I'm blocking
determine
Snewy.
what decks you can and can't
There he
play.
is.
But here is a possible mistake Riot made. They didn't
Possible
realize
mistake.
that, although perhaps predatory, there is a reason that business model has been a part of trading card games since the start. The nature of packs, loot boxes, gacha, or whatever you want to call it, brings people in and makes them stick around for more. Not only do players like it,
Oh, like I'm pressing the pause one, but it just kept turning my camera off and on. Now I'll argue this, right? So there's what he's arguing is that like they should definitely put the loot box system in the game. I don't necessarily think that's true. I've never believed in that ever. I think that they had to find something else that is. And actually, I want to watch Grappler's video too. Not in this video, but Grappler said it probably the best. Like you just need something that emulates that. You know, like stuff that you look forward to. I think the best we had was the weekly vault, a reason like to kind of keep coming back, or just a grind. But Runeterra never had anything that was like you're really waiting outside of just the champions and waiting for the things, and then you're just waiting for new content instead of something that's on a regular basis. So like them opening packs in a game and like having the opening pack thing, like you have to find something that's that exciting on a regular basis, and that will keep people at least willing to spend. But like you don't have to do it specifically this way. But to be fair, I'm not offering a counter thing like to also to put in there, so
many games similar
it's not as effective of what I'm saying.
Viewership from streamers opening packs or
Yep.
trying to high roll for a rare cosmetic. Removing those aspects, regardless of what they do to the industry or a player's psyche, was Riot effectively
Yeah,
shooting
see?
themselves in the foot.
Now imagine this.
Oh look, that's so funny.
Card game called Legends of Runeterra, and you say, yeah, well that addictive part we could just cut it out. It's not necessary. We're just gonna make a good game.
That's so funny to see him in
I
there.
think to this day on the market, there's no better card game to play. The playing of Runeterra is amazing, but they have that entire addictive part of the game, which is freaking awesome and fun and exciting to collect cards. And they said we don't need it.
Riot tried to
Another thing, and that's it's funny that they put it in there. I didn't know that they were gonna put Grappler in there. I wonder how Grappler reacts to them clipping him. But I work at a casino, so like as far as like I can tell, like people, there are some things to it. There's a lot of stuff to it. The whole gambling, the whole dopamine stuff. I understand how it works, but like, it's like it's
apply
gross.
the same business model that they had used with League of Legends. They created a free-to-play game that would survive and make money off of players purchasing non-gameplay impacting cosmetics. So naturally, they'd want to replicate the success of another League strategy. Esports. Blizzard had tried to make esports work for Hearthstone, but despite modest success, it never really reached the heights that other mass-market esports did. But people thought that if it was anyone, it would be Riot to succeed where other developers failed, and actually build a thriving, massively popular esports scene around a card game. However, Legends of Runeterra's player base never got large enough to successfully fan the flames of a thriving esports scene. Although they had multiple Worlds events and qualifiers, for one reason or another, these events were all held remotely and failed to reach the same viewership highs that games like League and Dota had. Despite all of Riot's best efforts,
I'll tell you one thing about like competitive card games is that I think that even when I watch Yu-Gi-Oh and things like that, I feel like unless you're gonna get into that next level of bringing entertainment to it, is that watching two people play a card game is just not that entertaining. It just isn't. I don't care what thing is. The reason why like even League works is because you can kind of see the action, and instead like you could see hesitation, you could see stuff like that. I think if you want this to work, you're gonna have to go hologram. You're gonna have to go Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City, and you're gonna need holograms. You're gonna need to have the people like sitting there doing a stance and stuff like that. You need to show it, and then like you have to basically make it hype. And the problem of hype is seeing both people's hands. Like as you're seeing here, you're seeing both people's hands. First of all, them not putting a spectator mode for like ever was just the worst thing in life. But you're not being able to like really feel what they're saying. Like you could maybe see some, but most people play card games like this. It's actually one of the reasons I get critiqued all the time about like me not being excited or something like that. Like it's kind of hard to be excited when you're just kind of like playing out cards, especially when you're not doing PvP, and like you can't really like, you have to be able to really accentuate that, like almost like wrestling or something like that. Like, but it's hard to do it when you're just playing.
they couldn't solve the big issue that plagues TCG.
Like there's some emotion.
Entry to watch and understand what's going on. Card games are hard to spectate for a casual player who doesn't have the requisite game knowledge of each card and their abilities.
Yep.
Anything exciting that
Or possibilities.
requires a ton of information to really fully appreciate, which is something that other popular esports usually don't have problems with. So in the end, only Runeterra players watched Runeterra tournaments, and the ceiling for viewership and esports growth became capped from the start. This all leads us to the State of the Game 2024, in which Riot announced that they would be ending support for competitive PvP in Legends of Runeterra. In early 2024, Riot was downsizing. They had a massive wave of layoffs and even ended support for their Riot Forge projects. Their goal was to focus all of their funding and effort on titles that they knew would be successful and that they believed should be prioritized.
Back to League of Legends.
Legends of Runeterra did not meet the criteria.
But we could sort of, never really get the formula right. We were always spending a lot more money investing in the game and supporting the community that the game was.
Yeah, we already know this. I'm just curious of why this person dropped this video around this time.
Figure out how to grow the audience and what would resonate with players, and so we sort of reached a point where we had to make some changes to try to get to a place of sustainability, because players have been so committed to this game, and we know so many people love the game that we want to keep finding a way to deliver this awesome game that people love.
Riot decided to take their support of the game and fully focus it more on the PvE
Mogwai.
side. They claimed that most of the player base was actually playing PvE, so they believed the best.
I still don't believe that to this day.
The parts of the game that
Still don't believe that.
most. This meant, though, that support for things like esports ended immediately. In the Q&A that was released along with the State of the Game, Riot stated that, "For now, competitive PvP will be put into hibernation. This includes gauntlets, ranked season rewards, tournaments such as the Runeterra Open System, Worlds, and esports holistically."
I would believe that. I would agree that there's probably more people playing like regular than that shit. Like no one really cared about that shit.
However, we will keep
But like ranked in PvP in general.
open indefinitely. Ranked, standard, and eternal will continue, but in a different structure than today that we'll be figuring out soon. With the sweeping changes to Riot and Legends of Runeterra, it will take us some time to figure out what we can do with those formats, and we'll update you when we have more solid plans. So competitive support ended for Legends of Runeterra. Despite seemingly doing everything right, this high-potential product appears to have failed. But why? Well, it's a nuanced combination of things. To start, their business model was too generous. While this might seem like an insane thing to say, if you ask most regulars of the game, there would be an agreement that Runeterra provided one of the friendliest systems in TCGs, beyond just giving everyone every card. You can have a big discussion on TCGs and argue which part of a game that involves collectibles is the part that causes a player to keep coming back. But if you ask anybody that played trading card games, real or digital,
using the trading card simulator,
most of the time they would think to a rare
That's so funny.
rather than a big outplay.
Let me go back on that because I was talking during it. Is he saying like the most impressive stuff that? Hold on. I was talking.
But if you ask anybody that played trading card games, real or digital, what some of their favorite moments were with them, most of the time they would think to a rare pack pull, rather than a big outplay.
If you ask somebody what is their like big experience in a trading card game, real or physical, Jesus, digital or physical, they would more likely comment on a pack pull than an outplay. I'm thinking back to when I used to even play Yu-Gi-Oh! Was I more excited about pulling a certain card than I was like a random play? If I'm being honest, I would say that I still, the remnants of what I remember is like not pulling packs, but maybe like assembling a deck. I think that was like the biggest thing for me, was assembling a deck, having a deck identity, putting the deck together. Honestly, after a while, like pulling on the packs, even when I play Yu-Gi-Oh, I would pull on the packs. I didn't really care. Like I really didn't care about like if I got what I wanted. It made it easier than to make the deck myself. But it could be because I'm a deck builder, like almost by nature or by heart. So maybe I'm not the right person to talk about that. In the comment section below, what do you guys like? Is he more correct for you? Because I feel like, yeah, I think at times, like when I used to buy packs, if I bought packs and I would open it up and like, yeah, it was like, oh crap. But when it goes digitally, especially digital, all I care about is making the deck. I don't really care about pulling the packs, and then if I get that one rare card, I was like, yes, I'm able to build the deck. And then I build the deck, and then like it's the feeling of how the deck works. Like, does the deck do what I want it to do? And what's cool about digital is that you can like kind of see it more in front of you. Like I know I couldn't even play Yu-Gi-Oh deck now. Like trying to do all those fancy combos while like in real life it would be a nightmare. But to me, it's more or less about the deck building aspect for me. Like building a deck, a concept, or even if when I took people's decks, like when you what is it called, net decking? Like when I would say, oh, let me try out this deck that's already popular. Like it feels pretty cool to see it in front of you. And sometimes I avoided making videos like that because I'm like, oh, I'm copying someone's deck. But like sometimes it's cool to actually physically do it. Like the doing of the deck is what is pretty cool for me. But I could be in the wrong here.
And then the other one is, holy burst! That's a freaking Black Lotus!
Maybe it was just bad timing. Maybe the genre just isn't big enough, or maybe it really was that Legends of Runeterra gave too much away and didn't give the players anything to chase. Some speculate that the cosmetics didn't sell well enough also, but Travis argues that the lack of sales wasn't a core issue.
I think I disagree with the idea that the problem is that people weren't buying. It's because I don't know if people were buying them or not, but the problem was that there were not people to buy them. I think that the biggest issue Legends of Runeterra faced was a player base issue. Because
I would agree.
TFT has stuck around, been a massive success, and eventually they figured out the monetization issue, or maybe they're still working on developing it. But like for a long time, TFT was like, I think you could buy some very basic cosmetics for it or whatever. But the game was so successful that there was never any doubt about whether or not Riot should continue to invest into it or like what the deal should be with it.
That is a amazing point, right? Because they're like, yo, TFT is perfectly fine. And I agree with that. And you know what? Also, TFT, you can basically play stuff on it. That's back to what they talk about the competitive. Like, you can just play. One, you can play it for free, right? And just play. It doesn't matter. You don't need cards. You don't need to make a deck. You could basically do like the most basic version, and you could suck it. It's still pretty fun to just see the characters fight. But again, you don't even have that with card games. You don't have them fighting. You don't have anything. You just have them on the field, maybe make a noise or something like that. So it's hard to market anything. So for TFT, eventually they did market it afterwards. Like, what do you guys like? And then you realize that they like the boards. They like the little chibi thing that's walking around, and they monetize that, and that's what they did. So what do you monetize in Runeterra? They basically monetize like some of the art and like the level up animations, right? And even what's funny is that when they removed the level up animations, people super complained about it. But like if they were like, yeah, these are how everyone levels up, but you can buy the level up animation, that probably would have made their skins stand out a lot more. Because sometimes people are like, oh, I like the standard animation. You know, it could have been something that they held back and then monetized to make it more cooler, more customization. So, like that's what people like. People definitely pay for customization to showcase a little bit different.
On the other hand, you've had Legends of Runeterra where they were coming at it and building really cool cosmetics, but there were not people to purchase that.
One thing was for
that's his argument. His argument is that they needed more people. If there were more people, you'd have more people that were willing to buy, and I think that's also true. I don't think that's false. I think that's true as well. More people playing, more people interested in the game, the more money you'll be able to make because there's more people to make purchases.
Not enough players were playing the game. While Legends of Runeterra had some great new ideas, it didn't present a radical departure from what TCGs are, so it likely struggled with bringing in new players to the genre. It was an incredible product for the niche of people who love League of Legends lore and great new card games, but at the end of the day, that wasn't enough.
You know, for me, I hope that Riot realizes that they need to balance their desire to take a long time and be thoughtful about what a game could be, etc., with the need to move on a space before it starts to get stale. I love and find it so funny that TFT came out right around the same time as Legends of Runeterra and is massively successful, and so much so that I don't think Riot does a good job of even explaining how successful TFT is. I think the one time was when I interviewed John Needham and he said it was the biggest strategy game in the world. That was a game that was, you know, what's the Iron Man meme about, like, you know, Tony Stark built this in a cave or whatever?
Mort Dog was able to build this in a cave.
Like, that was essentially what
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
he did, while Project Bacon or Legends of Runeterra was taking, you know, 8 years or whatever to build. They were building that basically immediately with sticks and duct tape in the League of Legends client when that genre took off.
I think one thing that he's not mentioning here with this is that it basically came out after, what is it, Dota Underworlds, which is, I played a lot of Dota Underworlds, which was another spinoff of another game, right? So it proves the point of, like, the whole we're wired out, or tired out thing. I feel like that disproves that, right? TFT was just basically the piggyback of another idea. Same thing with Valorant, is a piggyback of another idea. I don't think it's not really about if it's like, oh, I'm tired of playing this genre. It's normally, what are you doing that's different? Like, what are you doing that's different? I'll tell you one thing, the Dota Underworld thing I don't think that they had like a unit, like the little chibi thing. Like, and I don't think TFT when it first started had one either, but like, it was always about that they slowly, first they used their IP as a sticking point, right? And then they slowly upgraded it after that, right? That's what they did. And I feel like, again, being able to see the strategy come out and not just be like this weird thought thing, like, oh, when you're playing like a Zero Aurelia, right? And it's like, whatever they did something cool. And I you know, you could say whatever you want. A Zero Aurelia was a very cool kind of thing. Like, you keep attacking and things keep attacking with you. That's kind of like visually pleasing in my opinion. You know, like seeing something and all the thinking and stuff. Like, it's TFT even forces you to make decisions. Like, you have to make click up all your items, reroll, do all sort of stuff. What is that in Runeterra? And I also think that, I don't see why the guy didn't really talk about it, but like, I think marketing. I honestly think that the marketing of the game was just bad. We already kind of talked about this a while ago. The video to me didn't like add anything nuanced to the conversation. I'll finish it out, but I really feel like it didn't add too much.
And they ended up owning and claiming that genre when everybody else was trying to do the gold rush there.
So what is the current state of the game? Is it dead? Well, not really. The game has now shifted from its PvP focus to more of a roguelike deck building game. But its systems were never a problem to start. Even if it wasn't your jam, the lore within is still as full as ever. And if anything, the game has plenty of story-rich elements for those interested in the setting. Hopefully, even with the few players remaining and lowered support from Riot overall, the game can continue to slowly improve. Because even though Legends of Runeterra wasn't the next big thing, it was enough. But sometimes, that doesn't cut it.
Shout out and thanks to Cloud.
I feel like this video is definitely more meant for someone that has no idea what's been going on with Runeterra or quit a long time ago. For anyone that's been keeping up with it, I feel like it didn't really add too much to the conversation for like people like on my end. But what I will say though is that I really do think that they could have marketed, but I still think that the marketing would have been better. But and also, what would they monetize? They could have, like, I do agree with one thing that the guy was saying, like the interviewer guy, is that if they released it a long time ago, they would have been able to figure out more. And I'm realizing this also from my other little sneakily endeavors, is that sometimes it's just quicker to just throw something out there, test it, see how it works, and then just rebrand it. They could have easily rebranded this game into a roguelike game around this time and dropped it around now after having the other one fail. And then, like I said, my biggest thing is that I could envision them scrapping this entire Legends of Runeterra, completely throwing it away, and then like coming back with an arcane version of things with the same old kind of characters and some of their abilities, but redone with some other stuff, which would probably be terribly expensive. But I think that would be a little bit better than them kind of backwards doing stuff and trying to do things like that. Just scrap everything and then make a PvP mode based off of that game once it gets popular enough, based on what was good in Runeterra. I would kind of do something like that. So I don't think that the game, obviously the game's not failed. It's only failed that they stop. Like, they basically have to keep making different versions of it, keep throwing stuff at us and letting us critique it. And when I freaking critique something, I know I'm talking here, but I should be talking here. But like, when I critique something or when other people critique something, take it seriously. It's why people are critiquing it. They want it to get better, and then you can repackage it. You could always do something later, but just make sure that what sucks doesn't stay. That's what sucks doesn't stay. Like, right now, I still think there's a problem with the whole 6-star. This guy has no idea about that stuff, you know? This whole 6-star stuff and building up a character and how long it takes to get a character going and how fun the game's supposed to be. Like, right now, like, until I get like another star, Nova Crystal or something like that, I'm kind of sitting. We had a great dopamine hit, right? When we were able to get 6-star Abessa, 6-star Warwick. We were able to invest into characters, and then they full out. Not even, they're not done, but they're at a point where you can have some fun, and then all you have to do is give us stuff to challenge that, and that's really about it. You know, like, but you should have a constant flow, especially with 100 some odd champions. You should have a constant flow of getting us up there. Like I said, even if you do one a month, you'd be surprised at how much there would be so much more content for people to do. But especially if they're not willing to spend that much money. You want them to spend some money, but not that much money, because there's more free to play than there will ever be anything else. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. That was kind of fun going through that. Like I said, I don't think the video really puts any new like taste in my mouth. It does flesh out some other ideas or concepts a little bit, but nothing too new here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.